What is up, everybody? Justin with the Rural Alaska Podcast, and I'm over here with my trusty sidekick,
Tyler Bogert. What's going on? And we are here with
Allan Carraway.
Dude, you got an awesome radio voice.
Oh, well, thank you.
Do you do this for a living?
I've full disclosure. I may have done this before. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. We got a professional today, folks.
Well, I'm super excited. Allan, how about you tell us kind of like little synopsis of what you do?
Yeah.
I mean, so far I know about your business, Focalpoint, Million Cups, collab space.
He's got more fingers.
Like,
You better go.
yeah,
Keep going.
like, do we have to count toes here too, or what?
How many hats
scared,
do you
son.
actually wear?
Yeah.
Just one, because I'm mostly bald under here.
Okay.
And this is Alaska, so
Yeah.
It's cold.
Yeah, I feel that, especially today. It was like 5 degrees, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll never forget, when I turned into an old man and noticed that I was losing my hair at like 19.
Old man.
Old man.
And I appreciate that.
It's rough.
and like, man, you don't understand how just like a little bit of hair actually provides so much protection. I remember I was driving a truck one time for Frito-Lay, and it was middle of winter, like 20 below, and I was waiting to get into a door to make a delivery on base. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like waiting, and this person in front of me is just taking forever, and it's just grating, and it's just going on and on and on, and the radio is playing the same songs, and the DJ is just getting more and more annoying. And so I'm just like, and I lean my head back, and I just barely touch the window with my head, and it's like 20 below on a completely shaved head. Man, I just about jumped through the windshield on that. It's a good thing I had the parking brake on, because like I did not have full control of my body for a moment there.
Well, so there's the intro to what you do.
That's right. Yes, I keep my head warm. That's
Sounds like we're selling Nair over here.
Yeah.
But I guess so. You'd ask me what I did.
Yeah.
The platitude that I like to say is that I help business owners turn possibilities into reality. I do that through business coaching. I've been a business coach. I like to say that I've either been in business or teaching it for the better part of the last 20 years. I served over the last 7 years with the Alaska Small Business Development Center, serving as the part of that time as the Anchorage Center Director. I am very passionate about business. I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship, and more importantly than either of those things, I'm very passionate about people, about helping people unlock what it is that they're looking to do in their life or in their business or in their nonprofit, and how they can turn those possibilities into reality,
right,
and get the future that they both want and deserve.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Obviously, I had multiple people tell me that I had to get you on our podcast just because you're so involved in the business community. And I mean, that's the whole reason why we have this whole thing. So it's just promotion of business, stories of business and entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Because like we've said it before, it's not always rainbows and unicorns.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It's a lot of struggles, a lot of hard work, a lot of like, where's my next dollar going to come from? Stuff like that. So it's great to have you on here because you've been so involved with the business community and obviously been an awesome resource for a lot of people. So, yeah, I mean, are you from here? Born and raised Alaskan, or?
Well, I unfortunately don't get to claim that. I wasn't born here, but I've never known anywhere else as home. I've lived here pretty much since I was, I think, 3 years old.
Oh, so I mean, pretty much.
You're here.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have voted for Hawaii. The parents wanted to go to Alaska. Nobody listens to a 3-year-old. So.
Right. It's understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
They're like the island version of us, right? Just kind of like removed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like an attached island up here.
Attached island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get it asked all the time. Where are you guys? Aren't you next to Hawaii? No, we're not.
Yeah.
We're actually we're attached to you. Yeah, just in a very, very different position.
It's so weird. one part of our state is very straight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In that little box down by Hawaii.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
are we so cold?
I don't know.
There's not a lot of folks that can say they live north of Canada.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So. It's rare. Yeah. So pretty much born and raised in Alaska.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
So I mean, what got you into business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, I remember growing up as a child. I mean, I think we all did, right?
Hopefully.
Did any of us not start out as a child here? I think I might need to know that.
We don't have Elon in the room, so we're good.
It's like Benjamin Buttons, man.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, I started
aging.
as an old man, and when I hit 19, it was amazing because my hair came in. That's called a callback joke. Anyways, when I was a kid, I remember everyone talking about what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be a fireman,
right?
You want to be a TV news anchor. You want to be a spaceman. I mean, because we didn't call them astronauts, we called them spacemen.
They're superheroes.
Yeah, superheroes. That's right.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't really know. I didn't feel drawn in any of those directions, and I struggled a lot of times in school. I know now because I had terrible ADHD, dyslexia, and all kinds of other things that probably mean I shouldn't exist.
I think we're about the same age. Like that stuff was like just kind of coming out when we were in school. Like,
Yeah, ADD in the 80s was, you just need a big strong ruler across the backside or something.
Yes.
Like, wow, man.
Yeah.
My generation was different. They're like, you had ADHD, let's get you some Ritalin. It's fine.
Yeah.
You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, that was just kind of coming around in that time, and I'm not trying to say like it was right back then or it's better now. That's just the way it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like we didn't necessarily give the attention to those things and didn't know as much as we did. Of course, we do know a lot more now.
Yeah.
But so for me, I mean, I got to into high school. And I really didn't fit in. I was really struggling in high school. I mean, I fit in well socially. Like I just wanted to party all the time.
Definitely fit in for socially.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like that was the best part of life, right? It's like every day you walk in and you have 1,500 new best friends that you get to hang out with.
Right.
But like the academics, if I was interested in the subject, my brain was all in, and I'd get A's, straight A's on everything. But if my brain was like, this is just kind of boring, I couldn't do it to save my life at all.
So did you do well on home ec?
Well, yeah, actually, I guess I did.
It was that pillow, bro.
Except for the sewing part.
Oh, you didn't do the pillow?
Well, no, I didn't do well on it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I did, and I still sew today, believe it or not. I actually,
Interesting.
I hem my own clothes and stuff like that. Just, I guess, something sunk in.
Yes.
But I took a class called Radio and Television Production. Surprise.
Okay, we're starting.
That's why I'm saying we have a professional on today.
We're coming full circle here.
I took this class at the King Career Center. It was a gentleman by the name of Greg Curtis that was our teacher.
Yeah.
And he was a patient of my father's. My father was in the medical community. And I remember seeing him one day at his office, and he was like, well, you should come and check out this class. And I'm like, yeah, you're a great teacher. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, my dad. This is going to sound fun. Every day you're going to be calling my dad. Yep, he did it again. Yeah. We're going to need to keep him out for a couple of days this time. So it's, I'm like, yeah, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
And I go and I look at the program. It's like radio and TV. I'm like, TV's cool. Maybe I'd be on TV someday. Like Saturday Night Live or something.
That'd be dope.
And of course, it's making commercials and things. But so I took the class, and I absolutely believe it saved my diploma. That it gave me something that I could excel in, that I could feel proud of, that then I could hang my hat on and say, I deserve to graduate, and I want to graduate. And was able to put it together, and actually, I think I graduated in the top 10% of the lower third of my class.
Nice. Well, that's okay.
You did it.
But
I'm like, I was right there too. So,
But it gave me, I think the thing that was different in this class was that it let me see that despite all of the attributes that you might need to be successful in an office setting, or in a vocational setting, in entrepreneurship, you can approach the market however you can, however you choose, with whatever product or service you want.
Yep.
And if you can come to the market with something that is appealing and attractive, the public will buy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are or where you came from or what you have. And then I read about leaders, like Richard Branson from Virgin, who was extremely dyslexic. And as a matter of fact, years into his business, didn't even understand the difference between net and gross. And I'm like, bro, he's a billionaire. I can rock this thing,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just, I'm sure you've seen this. It's just taking, not even always a passion, but just an idea and then just trying to turn it into reality. It's like the execution sometimes is like the challenging part,
100%.
Most people are getting ready to get ready. They never actually take the first step. They're always, they have an idea, but they're so scared to take that first step, and it's called getting ready to get ready.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest holdbacks in entrepreneurs. There's so many great ideas out there. There's so many people that could strive in, the entrepreneur lifestyle, but they're just too scared to get there.
Oh, yeah. One of the quotes I remember hearing years ago, and I recognize now as an adult that it's been misquoted, and I don't recall exactly who the original quoter was, so we'll just say it was Mark Twain.
Let's do it. Quotations.
Mark Twain, no, it wasn't Mark Twain, but I think it was originally...
Gandhi.
What's that?
Gandhi.
Yes, it was, Gandhi. This is Gandhi. It's John Gandhi. That's who it was.
John Gandhi.
It was
Love
John Gandhi.
Our subscribers are literally Googling right now.
It's John Gandhi.
They're like, what is it with all these 80s references today, man? This is crazy. I don't learn about business. This guy's talking about his hair loss and stuff, man. But I remember this saying, it was that most men lead lives of quiet desperation and go to their graves with their song still in them. And nothing I have ever
like
heard
Mark Twain.
has haunted me more than that saying. Because every time I meet somebody and I see them, I can see the song inside them. I can see what they want to say. And yet we live in a world where it's not really welcome to share all of those things. We're kind of discouraged from shining our light and sharing who we truly are inside. And so there's a lot of people out there that I want to encourage to sing their song and to, to avoid that quiet desperation.
Yeah. I mean, I saw this the other day too, is done is better than perfect.
That's 100%, yeah. Perfection is the slayer of dreams.
Yeah, because everybody wants it to be, so perfect, and get this perfection before they ever push it out, but they don't realize how much time you kill trying to make it perfect. And then most people just I just can't get it perfect, so I'm not going to push it.
50% of a product is consumer feedback.
Yeah,
100%.
Customer listening, getting that. That's the importance of the MVP. The lean startup model of getting that thing, that widget, whatever it is, into the hands of your users as quickly as possible, and avoiding the trap that a lot of developers have, where they see the vision in their mind as being perfect. Yeah. And so they continue to work on it and work on it and work on it until they have the perfect thing, and then nobody wants to use it.
Right. Yeah. And then there's always this, those who develop the products, there's always a small disconnect between those who develop and those who use, right? I definitely learned this with our app, right? It's there's just two different sides of the whole thing, right? The end user is going to help dictate the need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great to throw an idea out, keep things, obviously beta model, get feedback, do all that, take the user data of what they really want and need, and then fully develop and finish,
Yeah.
But, so I guess, with all of your stuff in business, I'm looking over all this stuff, and it's super awesome, man. Going from this, I know you're in the startup community, with Leno G Beta, and then Million Cups and all that. So I guess give us an idea of kind of what you do for businesses, and how you take them to help them sing their song.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. I like to say there's kind of four things that I do for business owners. The first one's pretty simple, right? It's the $sign.
Yeah.
A lot of business owners are looking to improve one of those numbers, whether it's revenue or their earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, or net profit. A lot of entrepreneurs out there are looking for more money. They're trying to get back to the point where they replace their corporate income or retire a family member that they, have working a second job.
Right.
But whatever reason, some kind of a dollar sign question. The second one is the clock. And I find that one's actually a little bit bigger than the money question because, we live in a state, we got a lot of money up here. We got a lot of things going on.
A lot of money up here.
It's like, and to quote the great philosopher Dax Shepard from Idiocracy, I like money. But they...
I could give some other Idiocracy quotes. But I think they're very inappropriate.
And people are Googling references again. Here we go. Yes. Let's see. Oh, wow. I lost my train of thought here.
Dax
Shepard.
Yeah, but before that.
Philosopher.
Money.
Time.
Yeah, there's lots of money. Yes.
Money, time.
So there's lots of money flowing around. A lot of folks are doing really well in business. They've gotten to the point where a couple, 3 years in, they're just crushing it. But they can't get out of the office. And they're pushing 70, 80, 90 hours a week. And the numbers are looking great. The spreadsheets are looking great. But I had a conversation with somebody that was like, man, I missed a Little League game on a Thursday, and I never got to hear the end of it. How do I get out of the office at 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with folks here over this last couple of months where they've said just that, I wanted to get into business to make a lot of money and free up my time, and that second part hasn't materialized for me.
Matter of fact, you got into the business to give up, to basically give you back more time, and then you realize, I'm working twice as much than I was before.
You might be making the money part of it now, but it's like, most people don't understand how to transition from I have to spend my whole life at my office or wherever it is to complete that money portion, but how do you get your time back?
Yeah, so how do you increase those efficiencies? And how do you figure out what things that you just need to get better at doing, or what things you need to delegate, or what things you need to outsource? And are there technology solutions that you can employ? The third reason, forgive me.
You're good.
The third thing that people tend to work with me for is communication. And I imagine if you will, there's a door. I'm sorry.
Are we picking red or green pills here? What's going on?
And we went back to the 50s.
I was going in Narnia, dude. I'm like going through the little closet. I'm like, woo.
I know.
Here, let's start it like this. Imagine this.
So, yes, as I was saying, we were, where were we?
we're going somewhere.
It was
communications.
Yeah, so you know how there's a lot of teams out there that are just crushing it, and I'm sure you know a lot of these, probably in your line of work, where they're just crushing, they're doing really well, but there's one person on the team that's just a little antagonistic to the rest of the crew. And if you're in an organization that has 100, 200 people in it, no big deal, right? You can swallow a bad apple. But if you have 4 people in your organization, that's 25% of your workforce.
Yeah.
And that is a big source of strife in businesses today. Yeah. And a big reason why a lot of employers, a lot of small business owners struggle with employment and employee retention issues is that people leave toxic environments. Those are my people. Those are the folks I can come in and deliver some techniques, some communication assessments, put together some techniques and tools to help smooth those things out. Because the reality is that most people aren't really trying to be antagonistic, but they're seeing something that needs to be addressed, and they're not seeing that being
addressed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the last piece is strategy or exit planning. And we're in a state of time. Man, listen to this today. We're on the precipice of the future, right here, staring over. We're at a point in time where we just completed the last. Well, have we completed it? Are we?
I feel we're there.
Are we through? Can we bury the pandemic now? Are we over it?
Yeah.
I feel like it's now moved on.
Okay.
Unless you're in China. Has definitely not moved on.
So
We're just starting to get those clips.
there was a great white paper I read years ago by Odie Ingersoll out of the University of Nebraska, where he was referring to the 2008 downturn in the economy, the recession there, and talking about the normal number of businesses that churn each year. That there's a certain number of businesses that will start and a certain number of businesses that will exit each year. Well, when the bottom dropped out, all of those businesses may have been worth $3-4 million. Now all of a sudden they're worth $600,000-700,000.
Yeah.
If you've been sitting on that company for 30 years, you're not selling.
Right.
You're waiting a couple of years. And then there was the coming wave of exit stage clients. Well, I think we're kind of seeing that again, that there's a lot of businesses that successfully navigated the pandemic and are looking to transition now that they've come through it.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot to that, and there's a lot of games that we play in the financial sectors to reduce profits and things like that. And sometimes those games have a downside when it comes to our exit plan.
100%, man. And I've mentioned it to a few of my friends who are kind of in our age group, right? Because it seems
20 to 25.
I was going to say like 15 to 25.
Yeah. Well, if we're going mentally.
Right. But Alaska has this massive gap between those who created businesses 20, 30 years ago and then new businesses today.
Yeah.
And the boomer population, right, is all looking to retire. And sometimes they're the only business that offers their service.
Yeah.
Like I can count numerous businesses that they don't have any competition whatsoever. Or if they do, it's like they're not even really the competition. They're like some random podunk business that doesn't really do much, right?
Yeah.
So, I keep telling some of my friends, I'm like, dude, if you're looking to get into a business that's in some of these areas where the owner of it, it's a mom and pop operation or a family-run business, and the owner of it is in their 60s, right?
Yeah.
And looking to retire, they're going to have to retire at some point. Like, this is a prime time to get into that market, start making waves, because as soon as they're gone, where do all those clients go?
Yeah.
Well,
and the sad reality is that, excuse me, the sad reality is that in data from the Kauffman Foundation, they find that most business owners are not as successful as they'd like to be in their exiting and transitioning process.
Yeah.
And I was one of those. I was in the coffee business here in this town for 16 years. My second business, after I started the first one out of the King Career Center.
There you go.
My second business was I ran a chain of cafes here in town for about 16 years. And my last cafe closed down Halloween 2020. Not because of COVID, but we were in a state where we were ready to sell. And COVID took away our chance to sell. So we ended up just closing and liquidating everything we had. Right. Whereas 2 years previous, we turned down like $75,000 for a business or something like that. So, oh well, bitter pill.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Well, and it wasn't the right time for us to sell at that time.
No one predicted 2020, right?
Yeah.
So,
yes, it was like the Inquisition.
Yeah. And, just through our real estate world, right, of just talking with the different business people, is they want to sell and they want to get rid of their business potentially, but they have never prepared to do that. They have just no technology implementation, and they realize so I have to let them know, if you were to walk away from your business, what happens to your business?
Yeah.
If you're the business, it's not sellable, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you have some merchandise, but if we pull you away and there's no one else there, no system set up, no nothing, I'm like, there's not really any business to sell. Like, we have to put you in a position to sell, right?
Yeah.
That'd
be like Tom Cruise selling, his branding, just being like, all right, I'm ready to sell. You can be Tom Cruise now in the next movie.
Right.
Actually, I could be Tom Cruise in the next movie.
You could.
Just say it.
You could.
I've played that role a few times, so yes.
This is true. He did in our Top Gun spoof video.
Oh, yes.
Tom, if you're listening, just give me a call.
That's right. He does his own stunts, though, so you're...
Ooh.
I got this.
maybe you know, I mean, I don't know, how old is he now? He's like
152, I think.
Maybe when he hits 200 and starts doing like,
Yeah.
you know, when they reboot Cocoon, like, you know, something like that, you know.
Oh yeah.
Tom, then you can do his stunts then maybe.
He's gonna be cryogenically frozen, and then he's gonna come back in like
82.
70 or 2300 or some shit, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now it's mission improbable.
No, but going off Justin's point about like a lot of these business owners, the baby boomer generation that have, you know, successful businesses in a niche market that not a lot of people are dabbling in. I've had conversations with tons of business owners in that position. They're like, yeah, we just don't have anybody to groom. We don't have anybody to like put into place that would take it over if we left. Yeah. And literally it came down to conversations like, well, what do you mean? I just want somebody that's ready to go get it. And like, I can train for the next 2 years, 3 years, and I can just pass the torch along.
Yeah.
So many opportunities like that are in this town. It's just getting the connection, getting in front of those people. And I don't know how many conversations, like I said, I've like, I'll do it. Like, what do you mean you need somebody? Like, this is a prime opportunity. Yeah. So the biggest thing that I see a flaw in Alaskan business systems is like, how do we connect those type of people? How do we connect the Gen Z to those baby boomers? And maybe we could collab, and the next thing you know, these businesses keep going. These businesses keep growing.
Yeah. Well, I have a take on that. I don't know if it's real or not. I don't know if it's accurate, but
Fire away, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the headcanon. But I think part of it is just in our internal communication mechanisms.
Right.
People are afraid of vulnerability. Yes. You know, people are afraid to stand up and say, well, hey, I'd do this. You know, I'd be willing to start this or take it over or whatever. Because, you know, we all have that little voice inside of us that says, I'm so stupid. I ate dirt as a kid.
Glue.
Glue sticks are tasty.
I ate glue.
Yeah.
I played with lawn darts.
Yeah.
I ate glue and crayons as a kid. They're never they don't want me. They need somebody smart, you know.
Right.
And so I think that prevents a lot of people from stepping out. And on the other side too, the owner is like, you know, this person, they're working really hard. They got a family. They don't want to take over all the things of running a business and everything else. And so the communication never happens. But that's where, especially, you know, if you're working on an exit plan with a client, you want to bring in those other people and start identifying your exit possibilities, right? Is there an internal person that potentially could step up and take over the reins? They have the technical ability that would be necessary to do what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't have the financial means or the ability to borrow. I mean, especially if you've got an older established business, 20-year business or so, they could have significant resources and assets that would make it very difficult for someone to be able to finance. But I've had some real fun conversations and ways to kind of work through that and identify what is it you really want to do here.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. There was a company I was working with a few years ago that wanted to transition within the family. Well, that was one option.
Yeah.
There was other options that were available. And they were kind of just hammering back and forth on the pricing and just kind of like, I don't think they can do this, or they won't be able to, you know, finance this or whatever else. And I was like, listen, what are you really trying to do here? And they're like, well, I want to transition this over so that the next generation will be able to run this business and, you know, fund their lives for the next 20, 30 years.
Right.
And get a little bit of a retirement for myself. And I was like, okay. Well, in all of these examples, you're pretty well taken care of. What are you holding out for? Well, because I just think the business is worth more. And I was like, here's the thing. The price of your business is what you're willing to sell it for, and somebody's willing to buy it for. You know, that's the fair market value.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as long as at the end of the day, you're satisfied with the deal that you got, if you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I did good on that, and I did good for them too, then it doesn't matter if you leave money on the table. Who cares?
Yeah.
But some people really do get hung up on that.
They do, because they want to squeeze out every cent, you know.
Well, it's the ego.
Yeah, and they don't forget their why. They don't remember why they were doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Or why they want to retire.
Exactly.
Or what they want to do, right? They're like, okay,
Yeah.
Like you said, like, why are you wanting to sell, right?
Yeah.
Well, instead of squabbling over, you know,
$30,000
right,
on
or
a
a cent on a
$400,000
dollar, you know, like go live your life on the beach in Aruba. Like, you know, instead of stressing about this for the next however long, 12 or 24 months, like,
yeah,
you got in this position for a reason. Like, let's fulfill it.
Yeah.
What makes sense for both parties, and then move on.
Yeah. So in their situation, it was you could wait a year or two, and another buyer may come along that's willing to pay your price, or you can work in the business and train up the inefficiencies in the family member that you have over the next. And I put together a workout plan for them, and I mean they're crushing it now.
Yeah.
The next generation is just rocking it, doing well.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I think the common denominator that we see is, I use the word transfer of ownership because it could be so many things. It could be real estate. It could be businesses. It could be buying a vehicle. I think the biggest flaw with most, let's say, sellers of transfer of ownership is they forget their why. Why did I even decide to go put my house up for sale? Why did I even decide to go put up my business for sale? So if you can like always go back to their why and be like, why are you doing this? Essentially, it can make your deal go a little smoother. You can have clarity on what you're doing instead of, I'm going to leave $10,000 on the table if I take this deal. Well, is it going to get you to your why? Of course it is. Then let's remember that instead of squabbling over little minute things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that why is not just important. I think that's paramount.
Oh yeah, for
Recentering, so this is like something's about to get dropped here, right?
Well, I mean, I had this quote on our board for a while, because I'm in sales. Like, it's pretty tough to sell someone something if you don't really know their why.
Of course.
So the quote on the board was, sell them on what they're telling you, not on what you want to sell them.
Yeah.
Because I think most people salespeople will get into that role of like, I just have to sell them this product because that's what I'm trying to do, versus like listening to the customer and what they want. They'll tell you what they want. Then you take that, and then that's what you're like, okay, well, it sounds like what you're needing is this, right? Based upon what you're telling me. But they can kind of get in their own head of like, okay, I'm going to do this. This is what no matter what the client is telling you or customer is telling you, they've just got this different mindset because they're not listening to the why, Yeah. I'm guilty of it. All of our salespeople are guilty of it. You get in this like conversation piece and you kind of forget that you need to, to use your ears a little bit more than your mouth sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You have a lot more information gathering, tools than you do disseminating.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So I see some of the stuff. So revenue growth, time management, strategic planning. So for exiting, sales training. So what do you do for sales training?
Well, it's funny. I was just thinking about this because what you were just talking, and like in my world, sales.
Alley-oop.
Well, I was going to say, training sales for me is very different than my sales process,
right?
Because in what I do, it's exceptionally hard to sell coaching because it's kind of like a gym, right? If I owned a gym and I walk around telling people they're fat, are they going to want to come to my gym? Probably not.
Right.
So it's
they're going to Planet Fitness for sure.
Yeah, they're going anywhere else but me. That's for sure. So in what I do, I can't just show what I do and talk about the benefit that I create. So I just have to show up with high value and low attachment, and in circumstances, and just give of the universe with no expectation of anything in return. And the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
That's my life. That's what I do.
Makes sense.
I just go around and appear.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an important point of like just providing so much value that people find the value of that, right? Without the expectation that someone's going to give you something in return of it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because really, that exchange of value is not just in sales, it's literally in everything, right? It's in relationships, it's in, literally every transaction you have, there's an exchange of value right there.
Yeah.
So as long as you're pushing value ahead of anything else, everything else will follow.
Yeah.
So I think people forget that as well.
For sure.
Well,
they expect like, or they mandate an exchange, right, in place of their value. But how do you understand that somebody finds value in it?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in coaching, the value may be very fluid.
Yeah.
Right? I may be very valuable to you in one subject and worthless in another. And so my job as a coach sometimes is to recognize where I need to bring in other mentors and other coaches. It's one of the benefits of the Focalpoint system is that we have coaches around the world that we get to tap into. So if I'm sitting down with somebody in an industry I've never worked in before, I've got somebody I can ask a few questions of.
Right.
Before I sit down.
So with that coaching, like what does that process look like with you and like the businesses that you take on?
Yeah, and that's an interesting question. Typically, like I guess the prototypical client that I would work with, we would meet once a week for about an hour, 60, depending on the business and the needs, sometimes maybe 90 minutes, but usually 60 minutes once a week. And that gives us the ability to have those accountabilities and to make sure that those goals are bite-sized and manageable. One of the things that really frustrated me in my time with the Small Business Development Center was that I had over 400 clients. And I never really felt like I could have any depth of conversation with them. And there were many times where I'd meet with a client this month, and then next month I'd meet with them again, and we're having the same conversation again.
Yeah.
Because it's just too much time in between. We're trying to do too many things and not enough accountability. So the weekly sessions provides the format that is the most conducive for that.
Right.
We have a series of modules that we go through. The Focalpoint system was created by Brian Tracy, Cam Frazier, some of the absolute leaders in the world of sales and leadership. Wrote the book on this stuff back in the 1980s. It's still the gold standard today. But what's really interesting about in my practice is I am exceptionally selective. I will only work with businesses that have a community focus. If it doesn't matter what kind of business they're in, although I do kind of specialize a little bit in the medical industry. But whatever it is that you do, how are you giving back to the community?
Yeah.
What is it that you want to see the next generation look like? Because we have to do that work today. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is today.
Right.
So what are we doing today to build the community that I want to retire into in 20 years when I'm 45?
Nice.
Ish.
Yes.
Give or take a few. I'll give you a few.
One of these days I'll be mentally 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like a whole decade behind mentally.
Yeah,
That's okay.
That's yeah.
I'm still playing NES, bro.
Saturday afternoon, let's get some duck hunt on.
Heck yeah, man.
Blades of Steel.
Trackpad. Jump. Me and my little 8-bit Mario.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks so real.
Dude, games have come so far now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's no good.
Oh, it's crazy.
Really, it's like realistic. Like sometimes I'm watching like something on like YouTube or Reel or whatever, and you're like, is this an actual?
Is this the real life?
Or is this a video?
Or is this
game?
just fantasy?
And then you're like, ooh, a little bit of Queen.
I don't have that on my soundboard, sorry.
Caught in a landslide.
Yeah.
Escape from reality.
Dude, that song is just you just cannot not sing it.
It's true.
One for, take a second. You want me to play it? Yeah.
And now, everybody, we will lead you in a round of Bohemian Rhapsody.
So,
well, okay, so sales training, coaching. I'm just trying to get I'm looking at your whole sales cycle. I mean, just even coaching cycle, like from startup to. How did you get in the startup world? I know, like the SBDC, which is actually a really cool tool for a lot of entrepreneurs, man, and it's free.
aksbdc.org, free plug for the Alaska Small Business Development Center.
It's dope, man. They have a lot of resources.
It's all free.
It's crazy.
Let me take that back. It's not free. You pay for it with your taxes.
Right.
It's no cost to you.
Right. Yes.
But it's a service that you pay for, so use it.
Right. And that's the grant program through
the
SBA?
Small Business Administration.
Yeah, through SBA, right?
They receive about a third of their funds through the SBA in the form of a grant. The state of Alaska provides a match to those funds. Hopefully, please keep that keep that in the budget legislature.
They should.
And then a third of it comes from community support.
Well, that's awesome. That whole community support and philanthropy.
Philanthropy, yes. It's easy for you to say.
It's like CNN mini. Yes, I mean, I've been, I've talked to the guys over at the Alaska Small Business Development, and I mean, people don't know about it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So you were there for how long?
7 years.
So yeah, decent amount of time. Really. So how beyond the SBDC, like how'd you get into the startup world? Start working with like Million Cups, G Beta, like.
Well, so Million Cups I've been involved with for many years. I think right after I started with the SBDC was when I first started going to the 1 Million Cups when they were originally at the boardroom at the Key Bank building downtown. And it was very, I guess the word I'd have to use is intoxicating for me, because you'd go and for those of you that aren't familiar with 1 Million Cups, you meet up every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. in coffee shops all across America, and you have an entrepreneur that gets up and talks for 6 minutes, presents about their business, and then they take 20 minutes of questions and answer from the audience, and it always finishes with a question: what can we as an entrepreneurial community do to support you as an entrepreneur? So it's super valuable, but then the magic happens after that. I'm sure if you go to these conferences and things, where you go off to Vegas and, you sit in a meeting and you scratch your head for 4 hours and then you go out in the hallway and that's where the magic happens.
Right. That's where you're networking.
That's where you meet your next...
Shake hands, talk to people, build relationships.
And that's the magic that happens at 1 Million Cups. When the presentation is over, there's an opportunity for people to stick around and network and make those connections. And the people that are there in attendance would be other business owners, other support individuals like myself, the Small Business Development Center, the Women's Business Center, all those organizations, and also investors. We've had some angel investors that come to the 1 Million Cups presentations or watch it online, always looking to keep a finger on the pulse of the upcoming businesses that are out there.
Yeah, it's I sat through some of the Pitch Fest stuff.
Oh, very nice. There was some cool stuff in that this year.
Man, I was thoroughly impressed on the amount of startups that are coming out of Alaska.
I'm blown away.
I mean, just the ideas. I met quite a few of them at the Keepers launch.
Yeah, that was cool too.
That was super rad. I didn't have a chance to shake your hand while I was there.
We were like back to back the whole night. Like every time I looked at you, you just had like I had 4 people hanging out with you. It's like entourage. Every time I looked over, and I was like, dude, man, I'm never going to get to hang out with this guy.
But here we are, dude.
That's right.
Full podcast.
All's well that ends well.
Hey, who do you think he is in Entourage? Have you ever seen that show? The actual show, Entourage?
If I did,
the correct answer is Vinny Chase.
I think he'd be Vinny.
Yeah,
I'd go with Vinny.
Yeah. I'm Turtle. Sorry, that's my favorite show.
Dude, I love Entourage.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just I was super impressed on just the like entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah,
these guys are just creating amazing ideas.
Oh man,
implementing them. Some of them are still very very startup, right? Still very new, like going through still the whole like design process, making sure it's an actual.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah, dude, the startup world is just insane. It's not your typical like starting business world. That the product stuff is just app technology sector is just completely different.
Yeah.
But I was impressed.
Oh yeah, and I mean such an interesting like cross section of everything. We had renewable resources. We had
military application
reusable
stuff.
Diapers. We had, compliance solutions for gas line applications. I mean, all kinds of really cool and very different businesses that are coming up. And that, I think, is very healthy because that shows a very healthy ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's not just that we have one growing sector. I'll never forget, I think it was March of 2020. right? Just before the pandemic started.
Like weeks.
Yeah, like just before.
Like a week or two.
We had
The pandemic got launched.
yes, at the beginning.
It's a startup.
What year is it? Oh, it's the first decade of the pandemic. I'm out of here. But yeah, it was. I remember listening to Bill Popp with the Anchorage Economic Development Corporation with the Economic Outlook Luncheon.
Yeah,
and he was talking, kind of scratching his head and saying, "Yeah, it still kind of stinks out here."
Right.
I mean, healthcare being one of our only strong sectors even took a dip.
Yeah.
And so it's like not looking so good. And then the pandemic happened, and I had all these folks that are like, so, when is this going to be over? And it's like, well, just keep in mind that when it's over, we're still not back to where we were.
Right.
Right. We're still below the high water mark here. We still have a lot of ground to gain.
A lot of work to do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Big time. Yeah.
So seeing a lot of these businesses not channelized, right? These aren't all healthcare businesses. They're not all tourism-related businesses. Nope. They're not all, this or that. Yeah. They're a very
mineral
wide cross-section.
Resource development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that shows that there's a lot of things going on in the economy that hopefully will bear some really nice fruit in the next, years to come.
Yeah. I see it. I see there's going to be a lot of growth. I just hope that the state and the muni definitely jump on board with promotion of that.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's a tough. That's not a political thing, right?
No,
it's a tough environment right now.
It is,
and especially when folks are sensing times of shortage, it's really hard to see that as a time of investment.
Right.
It's very easy to want to hold on to the, what we do have and hope that it gets better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely encourage that. I mean, if we do look at those things. If you want a tree, you got to plant a seed, and if you want an economic future, you have to be willing to make an investment.
Yeah, 100%.
Whether that's an entrepreneur making the investment in their future, whether that's a community making the investment in their entrepreneurial community, in their startup community, whatever it is, it's no one can do this alone. Yeah. Not any one of us. I don't care who you are in this town. You bring anyone down here, and they can tell me I did it all by myself. That's not true. I do not believe that at all.
Yeah. Never seen a tribe of one.
Yeah, and that's not to diminish the efforts. That's not to say how much work each individual entrepreneur has to go through, right? That is not to diminish that in any way whatsoever. But it's also not to diminish the fact that, we have to build upon what's already here. We the light bulb was invented by candlelight. So, anyways, the point being that. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there.
We all need somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we always ask a question. As we're kind of winding down our podcast, and we typically don't preface at the beginning because we want you to sweat in your seat a little bit. Uh-oh. No.
I'm scared, Sarge.
We ask every person that comes on the podcast, and that is,
Pez, cherry flavored Pez. No question about
there
it.
we go.
What's the answer to everything? 42.
Yes. What is the meaning of life? No, it's if you can give 5 tips to a current business owner entrepreneur, what would those 5 tips be?
Steak tips?
Yes.
Yes.
That'd be cool.
Cyrus, you first.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
5 steak tips to every entrepreneur.
Never go hungry.
That would be good. No, that's a great question. The first piece of advice that I would give is to take a breath. Just take a breath. Yeah. Recognize that it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to know it all right now. Nobody does. And if we think about the structure of how we learn, right? We start out with unconscious incompetence. Then we have conscious incompetence, where we realize, I really don't know how to do those things. And then into conscious competence, where I know how to do them, I can do them, but I have to focus on them, and eventually getting into the unconscious competence, where you just do them without ever thinking about it, like riding a bike. When you're in that first stage, you can't expect to be running the marathon like Carl Lewis. Yeah, another 80s reference. You have to be okay taking that breath, and starting from where you are.
And I think just realize that, and I've been guilty of this, is you wanna just push so fast.
Yeah.
And just realize that good things take time.
Oh yeah.
Like just things take time to really kind of get things operational and moving, but some of us just want to just nitro.
Well, you need both.
Yeah.
I mean, planning without action is worthless.
Right.
Right. I mean, and that's the other side of the coin is that there's some people that like Leroy Jenkins in the business, right?
Yeah.
They're just going to do whatever it takes and just all in. And sometimes they're successful and think that's the secret. That's the way. But if you've ever been to Vegas,
It's not the way.
they can sometimes catch up with you.
Right.
Other people will plan forever. And I mean, I've met with entrepreneurs that have a 3-ring binder, 3 inches thick with their business plan that they've been working on for the last, 8 to 10 years since MBA school. And they still haven't launched.
Yeah.
So I would say relax would be the first thing. Second thing I would say is talk to a lot of people. Don't be afraid. A lot of times people are like, oh, if I share my idea, somebody will steal it. No, maybe, possibly. But even if they do, you're already ahead of the game. You're further ahead than they are, unless you're loose lips around, some billionaire that's just like, oh, yes, we will do this right here.
It's done.
But yeah, I mean, the reality is that it's going to take a lot of people, and you need to get those ideas out and have them, worked in the environment, just like the ocean works, sand and rocks and everything like that. Get out and talk to people.
Yeah.
If you have an idea, if you think, man, I wonder if people would like to do this while they're doing that, go and talk to people that do that, whatever that is, and say, would you also like to do this? I heard a great story by Jack Canfield years ago. I don't know if you know who he is, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Oh, yeah.
He was given a talk where he was telling the story about a chiropractor. And this guy, he went off to school, graduated, got his degree, and he came back to his community. And he did what a lot of people would do in that situation. He went to the professional society and said, hey, I'm just graduated. I'd like to start a practice here in town. And they said, yeah, nah, we already got enough chiropractors, pal. You can just pack up and go somewhere else. And he was like, this is my home. This is where I want to live, where I want to raise my children.
Yeah.
And so he was undeterred. He got a map out of his hometown, laid it on his kitchen table, and he drew circles around 3 neighborhoods where he thought he might like to place his business. And then he hit the streets, and he knocked on 12,500 doors and talked to over 5,000 people. And he just asked him a few questions, like, hey, I'm looking at opening a new practice here in the neighborhood. Should I call it this, or should I call it that? Do you like these colors? Do you like those colors? Should I stay open late for people with jobs, or open on the weekends, or whatever? And if I have a housewarming party, would you want an invitation? And if they said yes, he wrote down their address. He did over $70,000 in his first month. And he did over $1 million in his first year in a community that had too many chiropractors and didn't want him.
That goes back to what we were talking about with the 50% being consumers. So he saw that, hey, if I just talk to the consumers and they tell me what they need, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
There was a similar study that was done where a marketing group created a fake real estate agent.
Oh.
I love this story.
And
Is this fake real estate agent in the room today?
No.
No. I wish we could take this credit for this.
But they
They
selected.
could be, though. They're fake, right? I mean,
Yeah. So
they're actually here right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're here. Here. So they created this fake real estate agent, created a bunch of mailers and postcards and all this kind of stuff, business cards and all this. And they just selected this neighborhood and just sent out all the stuff like best realtor in the area, right? And then they went and knocked on the doors of all these homes after months and months and months of just creating marketing material. Hey, who's the best real estate agent in your area? And they're all like, oh, it's this dude. Not even a real person. So, I mean, it goes on just, hey, like, just get it in front of people, right?
Yeah. Well, there's something to that, I mean, if you remember that most people lead lives of quiet desperation, when somebody takes interest in you, when somebody shows curiosity, I mean, how magical is that?
Yeah.
How addictive is it when somebody sits down and starts asking you questions to want to shut up and go somewhere else?
Right.
No, I mean, you want to hang out all day.
Yeah.
You know?
You start talking about those people, you start like literally feeling like they're your best friends.
Yeah. And so even just those little trickle campaigns like that can be greatly effective, depending on how they're done,
Right.
in building the awareness of who the person is.
Right.
I mean, that's obviously why political campaigns do it so much.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I always figured it was just like, here, we would like you to recycle these things for us. But,
Bing bong.
but yeah.
Okay, so how about number 3?
Oh, wow, there's more. Number 3, I would say look around for resources that can help you, like the Small Business Development Center, and or if resources are available to you, private coaching, any of those options that are there. The Veterans Business Opportunity Center, if you're a veteran, Women's Business Opportunity Center has special opportunities for BIPOC and female entrepreneurs. Reaching out to and engaging those services can help get access to tools like business planning, financial planning tools, and then putting together your resources. In the Boots to Business program that we used to teach to transitioning military personnel, they had a term called BAIL. Like Saturday night.
Right.
Yeah. BAIL, banking, accounting, insurance, and legal. Those are 4 professionals that every business person needs to have in their 80s reference time Rolodex.
Ooh.
So,
Yeah. Network, tribe, whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah, they need to have those in their top 6 or whatever.
Yes,
on their
100%.
on their cellular one.
Number 4.
Plan a lot and then revise your plan. Don't fall in love with your plan. Don't drink your own Kool-Aid. Keep asking for revisions. Keep asking other people and refining your ideas. Always looking for ways that you can pivot. In my practice, and over the pandemic, I've spent a lot of time going over, the Darwin quote. It's not the strongest that survive. It's not even the most intelligent.
No.
It's those that are the most adaptable to change.
100%.
So.
I mean, we saw that in multiple businesses over the years, right?
Yeah.
Look at Blockbuster. Prime example. Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Right? Men's Warehouse now.
Kodak. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
Et cetera.
Yeah.
Just same thing, right? Got a board of directors. Things change. The consumer changes. Business doesn't change with it.
Surprise. Everything changes.
Yeah. Change is inevitable, right? It's one of the only constants we have is change.
Yeah.
So how about number 5?
The last one.
The last one.
Oh, wow.
I know.
I would say give back. I would say, I don't care where you are, whether it's your first day, you just started your business, or whether you've been in business for 20 or 30 years, you have skills, you have something that you can return to the community. And again, recognizing this startup community, especially here in Anchorage, is vibrant. We have so many resources out there.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great time to be starting a new business today. Tap into those things. And when you use them and you have the opportunity, give back. Go to these Startup Week events. Go to Startup Weekend. Be a coach.
Yeah.
Or even just participate again, even if you did it before. Those activities, you get the opportunity, just like steel sharpens steel, to help the entire community get better. Rising tide, right?
Yeah, love it, man. Those are all very valuable. So, we're very community-minded here. It's one of our core values. And, I mean, just 15 years of public safety service, and obviously wanted to bring that into the business. So, I think it's one of the more important ones to always consistently give back.
100%.
Because everybody does better. You do better if we all do better, right? So.
Well, I just kind of look into the future and I think of, what I would like. And I don't envision like a mountain with me standing on top of it with my arms up.
Right.
I mean, that's just not the vision I see. you know? I see a giant crowd of people just having a blast. And I'm just one of that crowd. That's who I want to be.
That's awesome.
So it's not about creating the one business to rule all others.
Lord of the Rings reference.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Or Clerks 2.
Oh, there you go. That too.
That one's good too.
They're both great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about recognizing where there's opportunities to create value and where you can contribute and where you can find ways to fill your soup bowl if you need to and help other people fill theirs.
I still love it, man. So how can people find you?
Carraway.biz is my website. At Focalpoint Coaching. They can email me at acarraway, CARRAWAY, at focalpointcoaching.com.
Okay. Awesome, man.
You can also find me every Wednesday at 1 Million Cups at the Umoja Co-working Space on Porcupine Drive in Mountain View, 9 a.m. It's also found facebook.com/1 Million Cups ANC or 1millioncups.com/Anchorage.
Awesome, dude. Love it. Well, we really appreciate you coming on, imparting your business wisdom onto just our viewers and listeners. So,
this was just cool to come and hang out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome.
I told you
I
it's
love
going to be
what
chill. So,
it is, yeah.
All right. Thanks, man. Later, guys.